morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning. It's freaking Monday, so Grumpy is in the house with all his glory as always, and the Matush, the Polish Prince, is in the house as well. What's happening?
Not much. Not as grumpy. It was a pretty good weekend sport-wise for me specifically. I think yours was like half and half, right? So
Yeah, yesterday was kind of like started out great, and it just started going down slowly. Like Fenerbahce tied, 49ers got killed, and more than that, injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, it kind of dipped slowly, but a great start to it. That was like a fun way to kind of like get those 3 points and stuff like that. So can't complain about that at all.
yeah, absolutely. It was it wasn't the easiest watch that we've had, but it wasn't the most nervous watch that we'll have either. So it was a nice in between. It was a little too open at times. It honestly felt like there was no midfield both ways sometimes. But yeah, it was a fun watch.
Yeah, right. It felt like that was the only thing that I was like, what the hell, man? In the first half, I felt like they were passing through the first line very easily and going right through like somebody wide open in midfield from like their center backs. I'm like, how is this happening over and over again? Like it would just be, and even after like Jota came out, it was the same thing. Like that did not change. The first half was a little bit like that, and I was like, what the heck? But it's been like a crazy weekend of referee decisions that went like all over the freaking place. Like some made impact, some, they're just like correct calls, but it's just like the inconsistency and stuff like that. Weekend like this where I know there are some weekends where I do the Liverpool thing, but I don't do, like I don't do other Premier League games. This weekend, because Saturday there was nothing. Like normally there might be like a Fenerbahce game or something like that, or going to Milwaukee on Saturday, whatever. I don't watch all those games. So got to watch a lot more games. And the more you watch, the more frustrated you get, it feels like, because the more inconsistent. What the hell? Especially when it does goal rush. I watch that and it goes from like game to game. You're like, just 30 seconds ago, this was a penalty in the other one kind of thing. It's just like unbelievable, the inconsistency levels.
Yeah, I think that's the buzzword that we've had for years that we'll forever have, and I think no amount of technology can fix consistency. And that's the thing. You can put every piece of technology into place, but if you don't have a consistent ruling, it doesn't matter how much of that tech you have.
Yes, exactly. And I think, I don't know, it's worse when you come to the NFL afterwards. I feel like NFL is worse, and I'm really like, I'm making myself like I got some foil. I'm working on the hats as we speak. But yeah, I almost feel like sometimes I like it's 17-0 and the rest are like, time to step in.
Because the Niners played the Chiefs, right? That's why the tinfoil hat.
Oh, well, that's another thing. Yeah, it's the Chiefs. So yeah, but no, not even this week. Like we watch any game. I feel like it's the same thing in college. It's almost like, come on, man, this can't be a coincidence. We're watching good game like Saturday night. What was it, Georgia?
Texas, Georgia, and the fans started throwing shit on the field.
First of all, how the hell does that even happen? I don't know if anybody saw this. I know, like, this is the Monday show where we go all over the place. But yeah, it was, first of all, it opened the door to say, hey, throw some shit on the pitch, and they will then reconsider, even if that wasn't like really the case. But even the announcer says that was pretty much the case. They had extra time to talk about. They were like, why are these guys throwing shit? Why they get so mad?
And they're all huddling in a group, but you can see half of their eyes looking at the board like, okay, let's take a look at these replays. Like, that's not what was a pretty bad call. Maybe we should go back. But yeah, it sets a dangerous precedent, man.
Just throw shit.
I think the only way we'll get back on topic here soon, guys. Don't worry about it.
I'm not promising anything, but okay.
It's Monday. People know what to expect here, and if you don't, welcome and enjoy the ride. The only way, and I'm going to say the only way, one of the ways that you can fix this, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that in a sport like the NFL, where you have football, where you have 6 to 8 refs. Right. And yeah, you can still miss calls because you're human, right? At the end of the day. But it's amazing to me that over the last 50 years of rule changes, that they haven't put in a rule change where you're allowed to challenge a penalty. You know, like think about all the times where something was called and everyone watches the replay and goes, they saw a really bad angle of that. That is not a penalty. Why
Yeah.
can't you just use one of your challenge flags on that?
Because I think, yeah, I mean, you should be able to, but then again, a lot of these, I don't know, it's the same thing with soccer. And I think, like as you watch, I don't know, the very end of the game, right, where Nunez does that shoulder charge, that is nothing. Like, are you freaking serious? Like, that is like nothing. And like he calls a foul. And then but something like that, let's say, like related to that, you can't challenge that because they can, well, yeah, he does kind of like push it. But I mean, that happens all the freaking time. That's part of the game, like the shoulder barge, like shoulder to shoulder, hello, kind of a deal. So I think a lot of these calls, it's not clear and obvious, if you will, to change it the other way. And that's where the inconsistency comes from. I mean, Cersei says consistent at being inconsistent, and I think that's what it is. And I understand it's going to happen. And I understand every ref is different because it is a human. I mean, when you play the game, you kind of almost use the first 5 to 10 at times to figure out how it's going to be refed, especially, I don't know, like at at the level that we were playing where you have different refs all the time. After a while, like I remember in high school, they're like, oh, it's this asshole again, kind of, like, the guy and stuff. But, overall, you kind of did not know at that level. Whereas I feel like probably in the Premier League, I mean, how certain refs ref the game, like what they're going to let go, what they're not going to let go, and stuff like that. So, normally at our level, the first 5-10 minutes, you kind of try to figure out how to manage the game. I'm like, am I going to be a visible ass, or I'm going to have to do stuff on the down low, kind of a deal. John is up. Morning, boys. Cut the game like this, and so Nunez up to his usual antics yesterday. It was pretty good, though. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if you saw that stuff where the yellow card and stuff like that. He shows his frustration very easily. He's an ideal striker for me to play against because I would piss off the shit out of him because it looks like you can really get under his skin.
Yeah, absolutely. But in his defense, it's the emotions that we also love, right? I mean, we talk about having players that you want both sides of it. You want them to be able to control the negative side of it a little bit better. But moments of him like defending Mo against Renato Vega when he's trying to just play with getting annoyed with him on the touchline, or him just slowly falling over and smiling as Badiashile just gives him a little bump. And that was, I think, one of the most annoying things in the commentary in the U.S. specifically. I think Stephen Warnock kept saying all this shit about just every situation. Just everything he was saying just sounded so stupid. And I don't know. It like usually isn't like that, but yesterday he was talking about how we shouldn't have that in the game because he's just trying to get him sent off, and like he's literally smiling as he's falling down. He just wanted to take a little rest. He just wanted to lay on the ground for a moment. And can we not forget that Joachim Anderson definitely did the same thing to him and got Nunez sent off against Palace? Like, so yeah, I understand that we don't want that in the game, but also to not look at it retrospectively and think, oh, this has happened to him and he got sent off for pretty much the same exact thing, except, he didn't go at his face and start crying. He was just smiling because he was just, it's just Darwin. But I think overall, I have to agree with John. I think Nunez was great, man. I think he tracked back really well. Defensively, he was fantastic. He was able to get some headers out of the box. He had some beautiful passes. The one to Gakpo that he then played to Sobo was incredible. And yeah, I mean, we like to talk about Mr. Clinical, Diogo Jota, but Nunez has had more goals and assists in the last 2 years than Jota has. So I mean, okay.
It just happened to be the last comment, so I figured I would share that as well as you're talking smack about Jota.
Can I just enjoy? I'm not gonna. I don't cheer for any of our players to get hurt, and I'm upset that Jota will be out because he does bring something else.
Do we know how long, or
I don't know if it's a bruised rib situation, it could be a couple weeks, it could be a couple days, we don't know. But I know I recently in one of the basketball games, I think it was 3 weeks ago now, I took an elbow to the ribs, And it was one of those things where it didn't hurt for about 2 weeks, but it was consistently just annoying. Like, it was difficult to take deep breaths. And so if it's something like that, like, it could take a couple weeks, and you've got to take some pretty deep breaths when you're out on that pitch.
Yeah, I just don't know. They probably. I mean, you're a prince, so you probably get the best medical care. But I'm sure, like, these guys get all kinds of. I mean, there are times where you didn't even feel it, right there, right then, and you would be like, "What is that pain? What is that pain?" And you're like, "Ah, great! Now I'm going to be stuck with this for a couple of weeks because you got like elbow there or something like that." But I just don't know why it would be. Hopefully, it's not too long. Hopefully, there's a way to like get him out there, because it's not the best time if like in these like little, thanks for those international breaks, we have these little slots over here. If you're gonna have something happen, you want it to happen mid to end of it at least, and not really in the beginning of it, so you can kind of like still like be able to roll. Monarchy healthcare is pretty solid, says Ryan.
Also, shout out to Ryan. I don't think we put the comment up, but congrats on the disc golf.
Oh, yes. Let's show this, because actually I was gonna. Good thing you brought it up, because it did slip my mind. Because when you started talking about Jota and I saw John's comments, I was like, that's just first like a perfect match. Watch the win. Went to a buddy's fall party. That's a thing. A fall party.
Yeah, everyone falls down.
That was so lame, because it was so.
Wait for it, and it keeps going.
It's nonstop. Yes, when the joke is bad, it just keeps going. Might have landed a job with a mutual friend there that won a disc golf. Have you ever played disc golf?
I have. It was okay.
I wouldn't do it again.
I had a summer where I was kind of, I was really into it and wanting
to
be really
phase. Good.
Yeah,
you made it sound like I had a summer where I got into it, but I quit.
It was 10 years ago. Yeah, it was fun. I just didn't. I don't know. I played it, and then it was one of those things where you were really into it for like 3 months, and then you're not into it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a place like literally like right here by our house. Like they have all these set up, and I see people like doing it all the time. I see people practicing, like playing it solo. I guess it's almost like going out golfing, but you're just like frisbeeing. It's more about like walking and stuff like that. I've never done it. I don't think. I mean, I know I would suck at it and probably wouldn't have the patience for it. But congrats on the new gig. If it is a brewery gig, we would all love samples of you. Talk about an on-pitch issue with Liverpool. You bring up the issue, we talk about it, man. Actually, let's talk about this, because there was a lot of, I mean, I personally talk a lot of smack about this, but I thought Trent's defending, and oddly, I went into like a YouTube hole of a couple of videos, like interviews with like Slot, actually. One of them was Sky Sports right before the game and stuff like that, but it was about. He was talking a little bit about Trent in terms of, like improving his defense and like, defensive skills and stuff like that, and making him a more complete, even better player than he is, kind of like an ordeal. Do you think you see? I mean, yesterday I was thinking like, and I guess Slot joked about it to Trent. He was saying in the press conference that he might have competition at right back because Mo was back there playing like a right back at times and stuff like that. You think his defensive turnaround, for the most part, he's been a lot better defensively compared to past? Like a self thing that he was like, if I'm going to go to Real, this is the only way? Or is it more about like Slot system and demands and stuff like that?
It probably has to be a mixture of both. Right. I mean, I know we hate that answer, but it has to be a mixture of both, because but
we're used to that answer. So
hey, I don't give you anything new when you come here. Everyone knows what to expect. There were times under Klopp where, especially early on in Trent's career, I think he was incredibly good defensively too. It wasn't just what he was offering going forward. But I think he was hungry. He was much hungrier defensively, and I think he had something where he wanted to prove that side of the field. He wanted to prove both sides of the field, right? So I think as the team got better and as he became more of that playmaker, he lost the hunger defensively because it just wasn't part of something that he felt like he needed to prove anymore. And the system itself allowed for him to take chances and had Hendo or Fabinho back him up if need be. So I think the system now does help. And I think overall, like, credit to both fullbacks yesterday because Madueke could have had a field day with Robbo, and he got past them once, maybe twice. And besides that, there really wasn't much that Madueke did on the right side, and then Trent really held his own on the left with Sancho, and then Neto as well. I mean, I think it's maybe part of it. I think if we look at it from the other side, tactically, what Chelsea did, I think maybe what Chelsea was focused on a lot was limiting Trent going forward. So maybe in a way that helped Trent defensively because he was stuck not being able to go forward and contribute as much. Then he had to stay back. So I think there's that part of it too, is if you have a situation where you have Trent being marked to a point where he can't do much playmaking, then he can then use that defensively and make it work a bit better.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess, yeah, in some ways you didn't see him pushing up that much. But at the same time, I've always said that, my defensive issues with Trent is not about like he's going forward and not coming back. It's more about when he's back there, just simple give and goes. He just keeps like ball watching and stuff like that. And then, 1v1, I thought he was a lot better overall. And, it was almost like Robertson. I mean, it says Robertson was scaring the first. Honestly, he scared me the entire first half, to be honest with you, because it literally felt like a bad movie where they changed bodies with Trent and Robertson, because there were times where he had help from a midfielder or Gakpo, and he would still let him run to the byline. Like, dude, like, cover the line. Like, if you're a back, you got that covered now, so you can escort him to the corner flag if you want, but not let him run past you like that. But he did recover. He did have a much better second half, because I remember like commenting on Discord saying, I mean, it's not like Costas is going to do any better over there, and which is, I think, like really an area of concern moving forward. I think, like in the long run, because I don't know. I mean, it's not like Robertson is going to get it faster or anything like that. So,
can I just put this in the ether really quick too? Maybe because the internet's weird, and if you say something out loud, you know how you start getting ads on your phone all of a sudden. So, to Real Madrid, Reece James is a much better right back than Trent Alexander-Arnold. Reece James is the best right back in the world, the best English right back. Maybe you should sign Reece James. All right, go ahead.
Moretzka had a headache in that game called Trent and Salah. He played 5 players against him with no outcome, says Sideline. I mean, I think yes, right? I mean, they really tried to use that, and honestly, if you're going at Liverpool, I think you're looking at that side. You're like Robo and Van Dijk or Konate and Trent kind of a thing, right? If you're like going to pick which side to attack, and it makes a lot more sense to attack the other side. I mean, I thought it was odd because we're not really used to this, but I mean, we did sit back a lot and have a lot more of the ball. And I think when we see that, we start worrying because we feel like something bad is going to eventually happen. But it has been, like we did not give as many shit moments. There was one with like Palmer's shot and stuff like that. A couple of block shots that could have been like bad, but overall like good defending not to let anything happen over there. I was surprised Gomez came in for Trent instead of Robo, and I agree to that, but John is saying at the same time, yeah, he did look leggy where he got like tired and stuff. But I mean, were you shocked when Gomez came in? I thought he was coming in for Robertson as well. Mind you, Bradley's not available though. That's another
thing. And I wasn't shocked only because we've seen the same pattern of the same substitution pattern with Trent coming out. So I wasn't shocked. I don't know if it's more so it's interesting to think about whether it is a in the game decision or a pre-game decision in his head. He's go, well, Trent's going to come out at this time no matter what because Leipzig and maybe Costas is playing Wednesday. Kind of thing. So I don't know if it's predetermined or if it's more about what he sees during the game, because obviously Trent was doing fine. So I wasn't too surprised just because of the patterns that we've seen.
It was very Klopp-like. I was like, oh my God, are we watching old footages during the international breaks that he's like, I noticed he doesn't substitute till the 80th minute, so I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I felt like the substitutions came really late in that game. But I mean, can't complain with the results, I guess. But I thought we needed like fresher legs out there faster. I know we had to do the Nunez one that was not obviously planned like earlier than we did and stuff. But I thought that midfield definitely needed Mikhails, and I actually expected to see Ando in there as well, like kind of like a game like that to close the game out. But I mean, Jones had like an awesome game. I mean, overall, I thought there were some good performances and a lot of people getting shit for unnecessary stuff. Richard says Trent has had his turn with Bellingham, Real Madrid, winning trophies, weather, contract. So knock Bellingham out of there. I am not buying this shit because if we went by that, the amount of times we saw photos of him and Henderson and Bellingham hanging out. Oh, Bellingham is coming here because he likes to drink his morning coffee with fucking Henderson and shit. That never pans out. Can't argue the weather because I can confirm that the weather in Madrid is definitely going to be better than weather in the UK. But let's talk about this money contract issues and stuff like that, which is now my top least favorite subject to talk about, along with transfers. But Van Dijk is saying talks are ongoing. So for those of you saying nothing is happening, talks are freaking ongoing. So
gotcha.
Relax, it's happening. But I actually I clicked on one video because it was something about him, like, you know, responding to transfer rumors and like the contract situation. And really, the funny thing is, you know, when it was over, like Angie and I were like, so like nothing's happening. Like, what are you saying? Because we watched basically to listen to what he's gonna say, and what he said was, yeah, like I don't worry about those because they are performing. Like if it was like a contract here and they weren't performing, that's when I would worry about it, kind of a deal. But I also, you could take that as enjoy them while they're here, kind of a thing at the same time. So where are you at with this? I know every freaking stream, every freaking show on Sky Sports, I told you, they just talk about this to death without really having any new information. It's just like, yeah.
No, there, and this is where we've been at for months now. It feels like. I guess the only difference in what was it 2 weeks ago that we talked. Whenever, whoever it was, maybe it was Trent, but there was something said where at least we know that something is being said in the public about it now. Whereas before, Van Dijk was like, yeah, it's just, you know, it is what it is kind of thing. And then now he's saying that the talks are actually ongoing with the right people. So at least now it might be seen as some sort of progress because he's mentioning that the talks are ongoing with the right people at the club. But there isn't anything to say about any of this. We're still stuck in this space where we're going to be just going back and forth and just reading way too much into one way or the other. Wherever our bias lies, we're going to go, oh, he's gone. Listen, he doesn't even want to be here anymore. Or the other side going, oh, look, the way he said that, you know, he definitely wants to stay here. And I feel like it's a difficult conversation to have because we really don't know anything. And it's ugh.
I think, you know, the biggest thing is because things are going well, it's only talked about because there is nothing to pick on, it feels like, right? Because if things were going bad, it would be a lot more, or if those three were not performing themselves. Whereas I think Van Dijk is, you know, back to his regular self, or we're not pulling up his stats on defensive. Like, look at how many air deals, because it's Van Dijk being Van Dijk. Because I saw somebody, like, I think it was Ola. Well, shout out to Ola, by the way, because I know he does watch the show, but put it on the Facebook group saying, like, and people say he can't defend for Trent. And I was like, yeah, because, you know, you're bringing up stats that you don't. I can't remember the last time somebody pulled up these stats and showed it on Van Dijk saying, like, oh, he won duels. Like, yeah, that's his freaking job. It's normal kind of a thing. Just the fact that we're making it news is because it was not as good in the past. But Mo has been, even when he's off, I think he brings so much on the pitch. Like his passing was off and stuff like that, but everything goes through him. I mean, you see what he can do yesterday. I mean, for a while, he was on fire. Like he got 10 years younger or something like that, middle of the second half. And then Trent, we just talked about. So does that make things go a lot smoother for FSG and Slot and stuff like that? Because they don't have to talk about oh, he's performing poorly because his mind is in the contract, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're still going to get the same questions one way or the other. So it's going to get annoying, and it might filter through the locker room one way or another anyway, whether they're performing well or not. I think if there's still, I mean, maybe the players they know more than we know. They're there every day, right? They are in the same group chats, the same text, and all that stuff. So they might have a little bit more of an inkling of what's going on, but uncertainty is, I think, one of the biggest killers in any kind of business, in any kind of industry, in any kind of environment. So when you have the uncertainty, it can creep into everything else. So I think even if the team is performing well, there is still that level of uncertainty, and at some point that the levee breaks. It's so. I don't know. It's tough because I wish it wasn't something that we had to talk about, but at the same time, like you said, I guess it's good that we're talking about this and not, I can't why is Slot off to the worst start in Liverpool history? That's, we could be having a much different conversation.
And I think, if we were talking about that, we would then harp on this a lot more because you got people in contract deals, blah, blah, blah. It would like when people are like piling up reasons why we're not doing well, that would be like a huge slice they would like stack on top. Whereas now it's like the only thing laying on the ground. So everybody's like, yeah, but you guys still have this. I know it's going great, but how about this contract thing? Like, if you want to be negative, you just kind of like dump that out there. And there's no information. That's what like kills me, that everybody is nonstop talking about it. And we've talked about it too, but I'm like done talking about it because until new stuff comes in like this, where Van Dijk says talks are ongoing, like talks are happening. And that's all we know. Talks are happening, which is good. But I mean, you would think in your mind that these three guys know what they want. Like, I don't know, like, Richard was talking about earlier, like winning trophies, weather, contract, money, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yes, these are all factors, right? But in your mind what you want to do or which way you're leaning, or really undecisive when you have like that kind of like serious decision to make. You have kind of like in an ideal scenario thing in your head, right? But then obviously if the money is nowhere near it and stuff like that, then you have to reconsider it. But I really think these guys probably know ultimately what they want to do. To the microphones, they're going to say, oh, I'm just focusing on this. I want to be in Liverpool forever, blah, blah, blah. But in their head, one way or the other, you would think they say, this is what I really wanted to happen. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. It just comes down to maybe there's a number in their head. And if that number gets met, then great. If it doesn't, then they know already what they want to do after this. And they're not going to come out and say that, obviously. So it's just a bunch of lip service until we get any other information.
Yeah, by the way, I had to bring this because the email just had come through, and I'll probably share more of it on tonight's podcast too. But and I put the link and stuff like that. But there is, I don't know if I heard about like Zoe's Place, like the huge fundraisers that's being done. I think Redman TV is doing one. They're doing a 12-hour podcast, which I thought was a very original idea, right? But they could have mustered 24 like we did. So there's that. But yeah,
that's
they're doing
why it's original, because it's 12, not 24.
But they do have a lot more famous people coming on, so I'll give them that. And I think I really like the fact that, people like Goldbridge and like the Arsenal TV guys are coming on and stuff like that to help raise awareness and funds. But Zoe's Place, basically, it's like a baby hospice in Liverpool. And I guess they are like in real financial trouble. And they have like 30 days to raise 5 million to stay open. I think Ryan says any monkey can do 12 hours. Yes, so they're doing 12 hours, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I know they're doing, like, I've heard of that podcast. I've heard about other people talking about it. But Sophie did message me over the weekend. Well, not me, American Scouser, I guess, to see if we can help raise awareness. So we will share the link. There's like a fundraiser they have going. I mean, dude, I can't even freaking imagine. Like a baby hospice of all places. I mean, hospices by themselves are like depressing, obviously, and like anybody who has had to deal with them and stuff like that knows. But I mean, this is like a baby hospice of all things. So I can't even freaking literally cannot get my brain to go around that. So yeah, anything you guys can do, I will throw the link in here to like basically donate. Looks like they are at 30% of the goal right now. But the email just came through. So I'll throw it in the chats. So if you're following us on Twitter right now, if you're watching live on Twitter, because I know we have some people watching live right now, just head on over to YouTube or our Facebook. It's in the stream right there as well. And if you are freaking watching us on Twitter, make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well, or like Facebook. Head on to the YouTube channel, give us a follow, subscribe there. I always forget to say this, but hit all those buttons on the bottom except the one that's thumbs down. Share the word as we try to reach 1,000 over here. Working hard at it. 944, Matush.
94.4% of the way there.
You're so good at math.
Look at me go.
But yeah, anything you guys can donate, we'll share again overall. Jamie Carragher actually is one of the people who's like really like big time behind it. He has like written an article on like Echo and stuff like that about it. So yeah, $1 here, $2 there, it all adds up, man. If everybody listening right now, I mean, we did with our fundraiser, we were able to raise like $5,000, which I have a video, by the way, that came. I'll just throw that in here as well. But from like Jamie yesterday, actually, as he was signing freaking the jersey that Gordo won in our silent auction. And he was actually like, they didn't have the jersey available. So we kind of had to wait around. Gordo is the only guy who has not gotten the stuff from the silent auction. I mean, we had like a lot of winners getting all these jerseys and stuff like that from like McAllister, Jota, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Gordo didn't have his because we had to have his signs, and he got it personalized. It wasn't just signs; it was personalized to Gordo. So there's always that. But he did send us this.
Out to the American Scousers. Big thank you from us for the donation, $5,000. Much appreciated. Thank you.
So yeah, that was nice. I mean, that was like, I mean, I know already a couple of, I talk to Mike almost daily. He was actually at the game yesterday. He was sending me footage of Mo's penalty kick and stuff like that. But yeah, they do. I mean, they used it in Edmonton for like the foundation that's the Supporters Club in Edmonton was supporting, who was like a big supporter of our fundraiser as well. So yes, whenever you can, I'll do I know times are tough kind of a thing, but for the price of a cup of coffee, $1, $2, like I say, it all freaking adds up. So go on and head on over to the link, throw a couple of bucks over there. Talking about a couple of bucks. I mean, this is not a good question to ask, probably, Mateusz, but thoughts on Jota? I learned about the unreliability. I don't know, man. If I need you in the chest, you'll be unavailable for a while, too. I mean, if it was a muscle injury or something, I think I would probably be more talkative about this, but I know you will be because you're a huge Jota fan.
No, my answer might really surprise you, actually. Yeah, I would definitely.
I'm ready.
I would definitely sell him.
You wouldn't definitely sell him.
No, I would. No, I would definitely sell him.
Really?
No, I was kidding. My answer was no, yeah, I would sell him.
I thought I was going to be surprised. I was already.
I think he's going to have some of the most memorable moments from the last 4 years here at the club. But I think, and I understand that having someone fall on top of you to bruise your ribs is one thing. Having someone fall on your knee and destroying ligaments in your knee, those are unlucky things. But there have been a lot more besides that. And I don't know. I still get a sense that we like to overinflate what he does because of his finishing ability. There are so many moments, so many games where he is just completely invisible. And then at the very end, he bangs in a goal or a brace or has an assist, and we forget about him being invisible for the rest of the game. I understand that in this setup, Nunez probably doesn't fit in as well as Jota at that 9. I understand that, and I'm happy to concede that point. But I'm also happy to concede that I think Nunez overall makes a bigger impact game to game than Jota does, and it just on a more consistent level. Because you might not get the consistent finishing from Nunez, but you're going to have him impact the game a lot more than Jota does. And I think there are moments that Jota is fantastic, and I think he is a good footballer, but he is not durable enough. And if we really want to work with this 6-man rotation up front, and him and Chiesa are already going to be limited, then why do we keep limiting that?
I'm not going with this. Jota is not here next year, says Ryan, unless he's.
Yeah, I know no one likes that take, but whatever.
So he said Jota, man, Jota like definitely triggered a lot of comments. That's for sure. Has played a lot of games. That was an unfortunate injury. I think part of the injuries is because of how he plays. I mean, he just like rumbles through defenders and stuff like that. See, I think. Well, Ryan says he can see a world with neither of them are here. I personally think I know what you guys are saying about Nunez, but I feel like Nunez impacts the game. Simon says impact in terms of running without reading game perfectly. Please, Jota is better. And I think that, I agree with Saidu over here, where I think people say, like, because it's a lot more visual, right? What Nunez is doing is a lot more visible because he's like just going after a guy, and you're like, look at Nunez run, it's like really pressure the ball and stuff. But while he's doing that, he's usually like leaving somebody behind for the press and stuff. But or like he's more like physically gifted, so you can see some of the things he does when you're like, God, he's so fast, God, he's so strong and stuff like that, and he gives defenders a tough time. I think Jota does a lot of things. Like everybody's shitting on Szoboszlai yesterday. I mean, look at some of the off the ball stuff, number one, and look at some of the defending stuff, number two. I feel like he impacts the game in a lot more invisible ways where it enables others to thrive as well. Whereas Nunez, and that's why I think we were all pleasantly shocked yesterday, because with his passing, he made other people better. You usually do not see that. That's why we were like, oh, wow, look at Nunez kind of a thing. Usually you just look at Nunez himself and say, God, he's so fast. Yeah, that's good hold-up play and stuff like that. Whereas with Jota, sometimes just because of the way he does, you're not maybe saying like, oh, look at Jota there. But Jota is making Mo better. Jota is making, Diaz better. What he does, or he enables Szoboszlai to overlap him and stuff like that. You're not buying it. You're like,
at times, sure, at times, yeah. But then I can roll up a highlight clip of every moment that Jota plays an absolute shit ball, or he sits on the ball too long, or whatever the case might be. If Nunez plays like he did yesterday consistently for a year, it's hard to argue against having that kind of Nunez. We don't know, but can Jota stay healthy?
It's possible, even like
I think it's possible. I absolutely think it's possible. I know Cersei says we'll miss Jota if he's not here. We miss Jota, and he is here. Like we don't get to see him enough, right? I mean, that's the thing that we always talk about is just the durability. And in my head, I'm thinking if Jota was to leave this year, if he were to be sold, then there would be a replacement, ideally, right? And ideally, that replacement then would be available, hopefully more often than Jota would be. And I understand that some of these injuries, they're just really unfortunate injuries, right? I'm probably going to get even more shit for this right now saying, but I think if Jota doesn't really fall so easily on that yellow yesterday, he goes down super easy and invites the mass to fall on top of him. I don't know. I feel like there wasn't as much.
No way, come on.
I think there was.
I know. I mean, I understand he's Portuguese and he has that little Portuguese in him where he goes down easy. But I yank your shoulder as you're running, and let's see if you're going to stay up. And mind you, the day before, that was a red card for Saliba.
Okay, well, that's a completely different conversation because.
And I think if that's not Jota, and here's my argument for that, by the way. If that's not Jota, if that's Nunez yesterday, or it's Mo, I think that's a red card. I think it's not a red card because Jota is not that fast. Somebody's going to catch up. Caldwell was right there kind of a thing is how they treated it. If it was somebody like Nunez, like there's no way they're catching him, or Mo, I think they get a red card for that, for example.
Well, they're also they're interpreting the ease of how they would control the ball. Because the ball was in the air, you can argue that it wasn't as easy to control, whereas the one in the Arsenal game, it was on the ground, pretty much like a through pass. So it was an easier ball to control. But that situation, both those situations compared to each other, that's a different conversation completely, because that's just inconsistency about how you're interpreting what
I'm just saying the day before a guy went down in the same exact situation, pretty much the same exact way, with just like a thing of the shoulder, just to prove to you that Jota did not go down easily. a guy went down
Look,
yesterday the same way.
I don't want to get another strike violation on our channel, so I won't pull it up here for everyone to see. But I will pull it up after this, and I'll look at it again. And I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that I'm just used to Jota going down so easily that I'm looking at it in a different aspect, and that's unfair because I'm not looking at it as everyone else is. But I think there is a conversation to have, just in general about. I saw that. No, I'm not blaming Jota for getting injured. It was, like I said, it was unfortunate, but I do think he went down.
He shouldn't have had ribs in the first place. Am I right? Who do you ribs? These Portuguese players.
You know what?
Oh, here we go.
I'm just gonna take a look at it real quick. Ryan
says after rewatching the game last night, I redact my comments about Szoboszlai's defense, but he was absolutely shit with the ball. I mean, we'll probably talk about, like a lot of these like talking points tonight as well, like Szoboszlai, Jones and stuff like that. But my thing with Szoboszlai is I really think, and I've mentioned this before, and I think it was like with John or whatever, because I remember like I made a basketball reference where it's almost like, if the other team is a really good scorer, you kind of keep going at him and make him spend energy on D so that he's not as good going forward. I almost feel like he has heavier legs or he's just more tired to do what he does normally with the ball in his feet, but he's doing so much off the ball, man. It is freaking crazy. I was going to look and see if they had numbers on him in one of these like stat channels like Opta and stuff like that in terms of how much he ran yesterday, because it was like ridiculous. The amount of running he did. Yeah, and then everybody's like, oh, that shot that he blocked is the only thing he did all game. Get the out of here. Like, I thought he was immense off the ball, but that shit does not.
And that's why he gets the start every time. That's why he's getting 90 minutes. People are asking why he gets 90 minutes because of stuff like that.
It's the cow's fault for being in a Big Mac, says Cersei. How about the chicken? They have chicken Big Mac, which I think is a sin, by the way.
Yeah, that's not a Big Mac. That has to be a different sandwich completely.
Right? It should be. I know what they're trying to do over here, but first of all, is that really a lot healthier?
Look,
so just might as well eat a freaking Big Mac. 40 calories less.
I feel really bad because I feel like I'm not even a fan of this team if I pull this up right now. But I'm not going to play the audio because I don't want us to get in trouble. But really quick, if you guys can just do me a favor, just when this ball gets played, and yes, there is Tosin's hand is across Jota, but just look at the way Jota falls. It wasn't because he was grabbed. It's because he threw himself to the ground. I wish I could slow this down. He throws himself to the ground. And that causes... Bro? What?
You're sprinting full speed and somebody pushes you in the shoulder.
He's not pushing him, though. He's not pushing him. He has his arm across him. He has his arm across. I acknowledge that. But then,
right there. Pass up here.
That's Jota throwing himself to the ground. And then because of that, he takes a big old knee to the chest.
Okay, like I say, go the day before, the same exact thing happened to the Bournemouth guy. And here's the thing, by the way. He's a striker, and I've done this as a freaking defender. There are times where you're like, just freaking touch me. I'm just going to set it up right here. Like you're trapped in a corner flag or whatever. You hold the ball away. You're like, just freaking touch me. And I'm going down right here. And that's basically what happens. And especially because he probably just watched the thing the day before. I would not blame him for going down easy if he did go down easy. But I don't think he is going down easier.
I don't know. I feel like I understand what you're saying. And, this could have easily been called a red. But at the same time, I just feel like he almost put that on himself.
Yeah, I don't think.
And that's fine.
I mean, you're inside. Yeah,
and that's fine.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. Saying you're wrong.
Whatever. If we were
way too freaking harsh.
Dude, if we flipped the script and that was Palmer or Neto, I think we would be saying the same thing that he threw himself down.
It's Mo. You're saying the same thing.
If if it looks just like that, yes, he's throwing himself down.
I has reached new levels using his CSI skills. Yeah, he's only gonna get like the show canceled on YouTube is what he's trying to do over here. But and getting all the Liverpool and Jota hate coming his way.
Yeah, let's just not.
I feel like that's like
this.
really, really, really harsh. And I'm not saying, and I know what you mean in general that he does go down easy. I will definitely, like I understand that there's a little bit of, like what you want to call that, I guess. Like he plays the game, you know what I mean? Gamesmanship, as they call it, right? He does do that in general. One, I don't think he does it in this instance. I don't think Thamer is like, what the hell is going on? Who's throwing himself down? I don't think he's throwing himself down. And Ryan might be right. There's more of like the legs getting tangled than anything else. But he's going down. But I mean, you run full speed and I kind of yank you at your shoulder, you might go down as well. And even if he doesn't, in a situation like that, I'm okay with my striker saying, like, I got yanked. I'm going down. I'm not going to go. So here's my thing, actually. Speaking of this, by the way, this is what really pissed me off during the game more than anything else somehow, because I pick like specific things to get pissed off about. A minute before the penalty, where Mo had that situation where he wasn't given the penalty.
Yeah.
Right.
Or at least the foul outside of the box. Either one. Right.
So like the foul outside the box, if Mo falls over there, that's a yellow card. Right? Because Mo is gone. He's making a challenge while he's on the ground. So Mo keeps playing, goes in the box, possibly gets freaking fouled again for a penalty. You can debate if it was or not. It would have been soft or not, which this is another thing, by the way. Like we're like, oh, it's not enough. What the hell is not enough? If it was outside the box, it was a foul. So inside the box, it's a foul. Foul inside the box equals penalty, and we move on. But why doesn't the guy go back and see that yellow card? Thanks for playing advantage. But this is what I mean. Like, we harp on freaking strikers for falling down, acting, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like, especially somebody like Mo, almost gets penalized for being strong.
Yeah.
Right? Like holding off people and not falling down. So if I'm a striker, I'm going down too. Fuck it. Because there's no gift for trying to stay up and trying to make more of it. I think it was like a Newcastle game or something that Jota went down. Everybody was like, oh, he went down. I was like, well, I don't even know why he would go down, because if he doesn't go down, it's like an empty net he's tapping the ball into. But at the same time,
so you're saying
I don't know. If I'm a striker, I'm feeling the contact, I'm going down. I've done it as a defender. You shield the ball. You kind of like stick one leg out, one leg back. Eventually, the other guy's knee hits you on the back of the leg. You collapse onto the ball, and it's a foul every time. I've taught this to Jasmine because she was like tiny playing too. I'm like, here's what you do. And you get the foul every freaking time because you're falling on the ball afterwards as well. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So if I'm a striker, I'm doing the same shit. I'm waiting for the contact. If the contact is there, I'm falling because there's no reward for staying up.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's been the biggest thing for years, is that the way that the refereeing has become is that it doesn't reward actual reason to stay up, because you don't get you might get the advantage, but afterwards you get nothing out of it, right? I think that moment specifically you're talking about with the tackle outside the box and the tackle in the box, I think that was the angriest I was throughout the whole game, was that moment, because I could understand why the second Curtis Jones penalty was overturned, right? Because Sanchez has nowhere else to go. He's standing in his ground. He gets the ball first. He has nowhere else to go. That's not a penalty. I wasn't angry about that. The whole Jota situation with it not being a red, like I was a little upset at the beginning just because of what happened the previous day. But then afterwards, and then all it took was up to that double foul on Mo. That was the most upsetting part of the game, because you can't reward. If you can't reward players for staying up, then there's no incentive for them to stay up. And then they go down, and then we complain that they go down, and then we're in this circle over and over and over again. So,
and then, you have people like blaming Jota for falling and shit afterwards. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I knew it was coming, but I wanted to keep trying to go away from that, but I knew at some point it was coming back, and it's fine. Look, every channel needs a villain, and I'll be the fucking villain if I need to. I don't give a shit, you guys. I think Jota took himself down a bit easily. I don't blame him for it because of the context of the sport and what it means. to stay up versus not stay up. I don't blame him for that. But I'm also saying that maybe part of him getting hurt was because he did a bit to himself. But outside of that, yes, the incentive to stay up is not worth it compared to what is called. And I think the most frustrating thing from yesterday, outside of those two tackles, is that there just wasn't consistency. Because then he would play the advantage there for Mo, right? Not call the tackle in the box, not bring it back, not even give a yellow for that, fine. But then in the second half, you'd have a tackle, I think it was on Luis Diaz, and you had, I think it was Curtis with the ball, and he blew it dead to not have the advantage. It's like, well, then at what point is the consistency in the advantage? Like that's one of the biggest problems, is that there just isn't consistency within a game, let alone from one game to another, just within the same fucking game. That's the problem.
Actually, Slot mentioned this, like regardless, for that, the foul, by the way, Tamer says, thanks, big up to my Nash for that villain theory. Yeah, because his channel, I was there, I wasn't the villain though, so I'm like, I can be the villain, I guess, but not by design, but whatever, whichever way the goal rolls out. Mateusz was unhappy that Chelsea didn't get a red until he realized it was justice. I don't know. This, by the way, yes, and as I like to call it, I would say vocalize the contact to Jasmine. Yeah. And you gotta do that. You gotta act like, because you gotta make sure the contact is seen or heard. So you gotta do both. You gotta be like, and that's all it takes. And it's always a foul.
It's the worst in basketball and like men's leagues and stuff. It's just gross. I hate it so much.
What I find amazing is that happens at the NBA level, where dudes who are as tall as you are, if not taller,
much taller,
huge dudes with a minimal contact, acting like they got stabbed as they were going for a layup. Because I feel like that's a little extreme. Like, you got to do the kind of a thing, but you're not like just because somebody touched you. Like, I understand you're coming full speed or whatever, but they act like on the way to the layup they were being like stabbed like 6 times or something like that. But yeah, that's a day for another story. But yes, you got to vocalize the contacts, as I always told Jasmine and Layla. That's part of the game. But that's what I mean. That's part of the game because of refs. But either way, that is part of the game. So I'm okay with him going down. I don't think he was diving in this instance. Even if he was, he's like, I'm not going to catch that. I'm going down because I feel the contacts. I'm almost like okay with that. But saying a guy got injured for that, true villain.
There's yeah.
Well, what are you doing? It's your day off. What are you doing? Going around knocking ice cream off of kids' hands and stuff?
Yeah, actually, that was the goal. I was going to find every kid I could, and then what I would do is I was going to go to the playground actually and just cut the chain off of each and every swing, and then I would punch a hole in every slide so no one could use them. And then what I would do, the
lamest villain of all time.
Lamest. Like, that's not a lame villain at all. Can you imagine every parent walking up to the playground going, "What the fuck?" Like our entire day is ruined. That's not a lame villain at all. Actually, I think it's a pretty good villain right there. So besides that, I'm just going to go deep into the hole and just go on every internet thread I could possibly find and go, I hate Jota so much. Look at him. I hate Jota so much. But it's one of those things. Look, you guys, I like Jota. I do. I just think he's a little overrated. And that's been my stance on this show since the inception. And it's okay to have differing opinions. We have to see Saidu's opinion all the time, which is usually wrong. And so it's fine. I mean, because Andre is a world beater in the Premier League. We've seen him do really well. It's one of those things where everyone is entitled to their opinions, and sometimes it's a shitty opinion. And yeah, I'm wrong a lot of the times, but I'm also not afraid to say that I do have my certain opinions on certain players and in certain situations.
Spoken like a true villain. Well done. Yes. I mean, yeah, I definitely don't agree with this one. I mean, we always joke about you not liking Jota, and I honestly think he's slightly, for what he has done, I think, I understand and I agree with the reliability thing, because I think that has affected why he's underrated at the end of the day. I think he has been, like, he's immense, and there are certain situations where, like, he's taking the shots I'm more surprised it's not going in, and that says a lot about a striker. Than I don't know. Like I always, unfortunately, we're always comparing it to like Nunez, for example, right? Where you're like almost like shocked it's going in there, like to the corner, perfect shot and stuff. I see he has that potential kind of a thing because he does like do it.
More
But
goals and
I think,
assists
like,
than Jota in the last 2 years.
he has more what?
More goal involvements than Jota.
Really? Well, I mean, not per game though, is it? Probably, which goes back to the availability thing, probably.
No, hold on.
And not to mention, once again, we're going back to what I was talking about earlier, is he is doing things that have, help other stuff basically get things done.
Here's
things that don't show up in stat, if you will.
I read it. Yeah, no, and I know like the goal involvements thing is one of the worst things to judge someone by, because you could have like Victor Osimhen, for example, like had one of the best seasons in Serie A as far as goal involvements, but no one wanted him. He had to go off to Saudi Arabia. Or I mean,
he's actually in Turkey.
To Turkey.
Yeah.
Sorry, to Turkey. I don't know why.
He'll go somewhere in January.
I just think of Saudi Arabia all the time. But I guess when I was looking at before, I had it mixed up. In Jota's best season, he had fewer goals and assists than Nunez, despite playing more minutes than Nunez had last season.
I know what you mean.
So, I mean, I get it. I know
because this is like Bobby, right? Like, like with Nunez, we say goals. I feel like Jota is closer to Bobby, where he might be doing some stuff off the ball, making a run, creating space and stuff. That doesn't count as a goal involvement, but it helps you score a goal. I'm not saying they're the same player. Don't get me wrong.
Right. My argument is the whole clinical thing, and I get it. I understand that he scores goals and he picks up. He's a poacher. He picks up positions that a striker is supposed to pick up. Yes. But a lot of people are knocking Nunez for his goal finishing ability and his goal involvements, when in reality the numbers are there. I understand that
guy. I need goals per shot.
Okay, well, no one wants to talk about that.
So no one needs that information. Yeah, I want goals per shot on that one. Like, you scoring 10, I'm scoring 10. But if you're taking 100 shots to get there, I am more clinical. Yeah, you tell Google to get his ass on this, because because I'm assuming it's not even going to be close in terms of like the. Yes, he does actually.
I don't though, actually.
I mean, his information is limited, but yeah, availability again is the thing. Which sites? JotaHaters.com? Is that like a website?
I hate
Hosted
it.
by Matouche.
I can do goals per 90. That's the best I can do. So
right. Yeah, see, that's not. I want goals per shot. So we will do this for next Monday, because I'm sure Jota will still be a topic of conversation. I'll try to bring it for tonight's podcast. Actually,
it's fine. Everyone's gonna just think I'm a giant idiot, and that's okay. That's fine. I don't. Whatever.
But this is a good idea for you to create your day off to JotaHaters.com. And
I'm happy with Jota being in the team. I'm happy with him being healthy and playing, but I'm just also trying to look at it as in a slightly unbiased view is all.
Oh, you're saying like there's like a little Liverpool bias in his evaluation?
Yeah, I think there always is.
I mean, I guess every player.
There's always going to be some level of homerism or some level.
But wouldn't you hate his guts if you were playing against Jota?
No, because you'd play against him so rarely because he's always fucking hurt.
But when you're that's cold. See, that was uncalled for. That was uncalled for.
Too much.
But I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. That's what good one, by the way. But no, I mean, in terms of like when you play against a guy like that, or when that guy is coming, there are guys where like he doesn't start, but he comes off the bench, you're like, oh, this fucker is coming in, kind of thing. Makes you more worried than any other player coming in. I feel like if Jota was playing for a different team, you would get that. Like, I would be worried about that, saying like Jota is coming in. It's kind of like a pain in the ass kind of a player.
Yeah, I would also feel that way if Nunez is coming out in the 65th, 70th minute, though. You've just had your back line play for 65 minutes, and you've got this guy coming on. I would say that about about every Liverpool forward coming on. And come on, you can't say that you wouldn't.
Here we go.
You used AI.
AI knows it's all. Look at the goals per game.
Okay.
Shot accuracy. Jota's shot accuracy is 46%. Nunez is slightly lower at 42.6. I mean, I'm assuming this is just comparing this.
Yeah. What is this? What is this comparing?
Medium passes completed, short passes attempted. I know it's AI. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I was hoping for like more of the shot accuracy in terms of not on target but scoring. Tamer says, "Look, I love that Captain Chaos, but his shooting and finishing style. I mean, like I say, he gets. I'm not like against totally Nunez either. I feel like he gets over criticized at times. I just don't. I guess I don't like comparing them because I feel like they're totally two different players. I'm assuming I'm getting links from Tamer as like a direct message to the site or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can
chat.
If people can post links in the chat. I don't.
Oh, you don't think so? Yeah, they have people and be like, watch the game here and stuff like that during like live.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay, Monday. What's the game plan over here aside from going around to parks and like spoiling everybody's days? What are you doing?
That's it. I'm just going to be an absolute menace to society today. Thanks to everyone here. Thanks, guys. This is the hat I have to wear now. I appreciate it. Yes. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe. And if you want to see more of Matush, go to jotahaters.com where he's broadcasting live all day. But yeah. I should buy that before someone else does. Before everybody's on GoDaddy right now trying to get that. But yeah, I'll be back on with the boys tonight. Let's see if they're hating on who they're hating on, who I have to defend tonight. But Gally and Bickler will be on as always, our regular time, 7:00 Central, 8:00 Eastern. We'll be live with the Monday Night Podcast. So do join us then. Until then, enjoy your day, and we all love Jota. Don't you forget about it. So even Matush secretly loves Jota. That he has a voodoo doll in the background. Behind that screen, behind the green screen. There's I do have to come clean. I did fall on top of the voodoo doll yesterday, so that was my fault, and I am sorry. I'm sure the voodoo doll fell down too easily. So we'll see you guys tonight. Take care.